Welcome to another session on the couch with Cam Roberts. Today we're talking about full funnel marketing and how you can use your marketing more effectively so you can drive more leads into becoming clients, customers, and ultimately growing your sales. 95% of business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and even a lot of the gurus out there in the internet marketing space purely focus on traffic. They focus on traffic acquisition. Now, don't get me wrong, traffic is really important, especially paid traffic. You can't sell a secret if you don't have eyeballs seeing you and watching you and you're not getting enough attention, you won't be able to make the sales, right? But that's where a lot of people focus on. They just focus on the top, right at the top of the funnel, and they focus purely on traffic. And yet the money for when you want to grow your revenue, increase your sales, increase your customer lifetime value, that really happens at the middle and at the bottom of your funnel. The traffic acquisition is really just at the top of the funnel. It's letting people become aware of you, but they're not going to make a decision for buying until they are in the consideration stage, until they're in the buying mode. And when they are in the buying mode and when they are ready to buy, that's when they will consider your products and services and make a decision about getting their problem solved or getting a solution to the problems that they are facing. If you ignore the rest of the funnel and purely focus on traffic, you'll be leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars and probably even millions of dollars of money on the table, unbanked in your business. And what do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing. If you continually focus on traffic and generating leads only, you'll miss out on a whole bunch of people that weren't ready to buy right now when they came in contact with your ads. They could have filled out a lead form, maybe they landed on a landing page, maybe they landed on a sales funnel page, and they took action because they were impulsive at that point. They were at the point where they were looking for other things to do. They were online on social media, looking at their friends' vacations, seeing what their mates were up to, or just being entertained and passing time. And then your ad shows up and it sparks some curiosity in them. And they're curious about what it is that you have to offer and what it is that you have to say. But the problem is that they are impulsive at that point. They weren't really in a buying decision cycle. And so they take the next step, they fill out the lead form, they land on your landing page, they opt into whatever it is that you're offering, and they're not really ready to buy. And so this is where the full funnel approach comes in. This is where you have to be really strategic about what you're doing at the back end. Once you capture that lead, what are you then doing to add massive value so you can move them along, build trust faster, and ultimately increase your sales? So let me show you what this looks like when you don't have full funnel marketing in place. I had a prospect recently reach out to me about my fractional CMO services and agency services, and we've started working together. They have their own ads team and their own guy that runs their paid advertising. And what they were doing is just focusing on traffic acquisition only. And they were putting people in a Telegram group. They built up over 217,000 people in this Telegram group, but obviously people opt out, they turn the notifications off, they stop using Telegram, they delete Telegram from their phone or whatever it is. And so he only ended up with about 3,000 out of the 217,000 people that he paid for. He paid for those people to end up in a Telegram group. That was the conversion goal that they were tracking in their ads over the last 12 months that they were running ads. And so he only had one way to communicate to these people. And once they stopped using Telegram, once they closed out his notifications or turned off his notifications, they weren't being notified anymore. They weren't seeing the information that he was putting into Telegram. So although he was building a massive list, right, and he was just making offers in Telegram and constantly spamming, if you like, people in Telegram, they opted out. They closed their Telegram account. They turned off the notifications. And so he ended up with this much smaller group of people that he could communicate to, although he paid for 217,000 of them. And so that's when I looked at what he was doing in his business, and I showed him how much money and potential that he's missing out on, in the table, leaving money on the table because he doesn't have this full funnel marketing strategy in play. He's not looking at taking people from consideration and moving them into, being a potential client, or he's not even moving people from awareness to consideration and then consideration to become a client. So one of the first things I did was I recommended that he had multiple channels to communicate to people. So don't just, hang your hat on putting people in one channel, because that one channel they can opt out from, they might not use it, they're very impulsive when they see the ads. And so, the most dangerous number in marketing is one. Having one way to communicate to people is the most dangerous number in your marketing game. And so what we looked at was other ways that he could communicate to these people. So build a community where people can go, like a Facebook group or customer hub group or membership group, and put people over there. Now, some people will join, some people won't, but if you had 30% of that 217,000 people joined the other community as well, like as a value add, but by something like, hey, by the way, thanks for joining the Telegram group, but we've got this thing over here where we drop training and we drop PDFs and we drop videos, go over there and check it all out. You've got another avenue to market to people and build relationships with. And then, of course, the big rocks of email and SMS. So we set him up with his own CRM, own marketing automation tools, created the sequences, the touch points for both email and SMS. So now not only has he got a Telegram group, but he's also got an email marketing list. And that email marketing list and that SMS marketing list will be where he does most of his funnel work. That'll be the place where he takes people from awareness to consideration. That's the place where he takes people from low trust or no trust into having trust and looking at him as a highly valuable consultant, someone they can look up to and get advice from and follow if they want to get the same results as him. And that's all done in different channels. Now, when you're setting up your funnel marketing systems and sequences, you need to be very clear about the stages and the messages. So one of the other things we've done for this particular client is set up what we call pipeline stages. So people will travel through his CRM, if you like, through a sales pipeline, and then based on their behavior, what they were clicking, what they were opening, what accounts they were opening, what funds they were putting in, what emails they click on, based on that, they went through the different sales pipeline stages in his business. Then, based on those stages, they would get automation and end up in different sequences that are related to where they are in their journey within his business. And that's called a full funnel approach. And what we're doing there is we're communicating to people specifically where they are at in their journey, and not just sending out weekly EDMs or weekly email broadcasts based on what we want to sell people. It's more about giving people content, giving people education, empowering people based on the stage that they are in relation to your business. Now, when you want to drive up sales and you want to turn leads into clients and customers, you have to be really clear about the next steps. You have to make it really clear in your messaging about what it is you want them to do next. Do you want them to join a webinar where you're going to share some insider secrets with them? And then on the webinar, you're going to invite them to a potential, discovery call or triage call, or buy a course or buy a program, or, add funds to their account, or whatever it is. You need to be really clear and guide people clearly on what you want them to do next. And that's the biggest mistake I see a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs make, and many internet marketing businesses make the same mistake. They are not clear about the messages that they send out and where they want people to go. The clearer you are with your messaging, the more chance you're going to give yourself to increase those sales and to drive up your revenue. Now, one of the best ways that you can do this, of course, is using what I've said before, and that's the 3 E's. If you've watched any of my videos or you watch my content on a regular basis, I talk about the 3 E's of funnel marketing, or the 3 E's of marketing. And so once someone is on your list, once you've moved them from, say, Facebook's sandpit. We call them sandpits. So if someone's on Facebook using Facebook, they're on Facebook sandpit. If someone's on Google using Google, they're on Google sandpit. If someone else is on someone else's database and you're doing some sort of affiliate marketing collaboration, they're on the other person's sandpit. And so, when you're a kid, you're playing the sandpits, right? So as an adult, you've got to figure out in your business and your marketing, how do I move people from one sandpit to another? How do I move people from the meta sandpit into my sandpit? Now, once they are in your sandpit, that's when you unleash the 3 E's. And what I call these 3 E's are education, entertainment, and empowerment. Now, depending on the type of business that you're in, you might not be able to do all 3 E's, but they are just a guideline. So when we talk about entertainment, how can you entertain people through your content? When we talk about education, how can you educate people in your content, just like I'm educating you now? And then the third one is, how do you empower people? So even in this video now, I'm entertaining you with a story, right? I've shared a couple of stories with you. I'm empowering you by giving you the right strategies and talking about sales pipelines and CRMs. And I'm educating you about full funnel marketing and how you can use that to grow your sales. So even in this video that you're watching right now, I'm using those 3 E's on you. The next thing that you can do to turn your traffic acquisition into leads and then leads into sales is to pre-frame people correctly through the journey that they have in your marketing and within your funnels and emails and SMSs, in your communities, in your Telegram groups, wherever you're nurturing these people and your prospects and potential clients, wherever they are in those sandpits, you've got to make sure that you're pre-framing them before they take the next step. Pre-framing means preconditioning. It's like an athlete who's about to train for the Olympics or go to the Olympics. They have to do some training. They have to train before the Olympics. They have to train before the event. Or a footballer or a cricketer, playing the World Cup. They have to train before the event. They're doing some pre-training before they perform at the event. Well, selling's no different. You have to do some pre-training before you sell somebody, right? And the pre-training is on them. It's what pre-training are you doing to them so it makes them more malleable, right? And more susceptible to buy your products. It's not about brainwashing people. It's about pre-framing and dropping little seeds and seeding information to them, seeding content to them, so they are better aware of what you do, the problems that you're solving. And some people don't even know they have problems. And that's where the pre-framing comes in and the preconditioning comes in. You actually seed that in the information and the way you communicate to them. And you let them know that they have a problem. Let them know how big the problem is. Let them know they have an itch, and you show them you're going to scratch that itch and it's going to make it worse, right? So it's always about problem, aggravation, solution. You've got to share with people that they have a problem, right? And then you share your solution. So it's problem, aggravation, solution. So what is the problem that they have? Aggravate it a little bit, right? And that's where the pre-framing comes in and preconditioning, and then provide your solution. So pre-framing people will double or triple the amount of leads that come in through to your funnel, and then will double or triple the amount of sales that you can get from those leads. Now, if you commit yourself to this full funnel approach and you stop relying on paid advertising like a drug, and it's the only drug that you need and it's the only thing that you do in your business, and you really get focused on the full funnel, despite the metrics. Sometimes you can't track the metrics. For example, I've got a client who, for whatever reason, they've got this industry standard CRM, and it can't track people who are clicking and opening and converting via email. It only tracks the leads that come in through paid advertising. So there's a danger there for that particular client who gets stuck on the metrics of paid advertising because that's the only thing they can track. Whereas if they look at the total revenue of their business and the channels that we're using, the actual revenue has grown by more than 50% in the last 12 months using those full funnel strategies. So when you're fully committed and you use these full funnel strategies in your business and in your marketing, there's 2 things that happen. Number 1, you drive up sales. And number 2, you decrease the amount of money and reliance you have on paid advertising. Now again, don't get me wrong, as I said at the start of this video and this training, paid advertising is the fastest way to grow your business, but it has to be done with a full funnel marketing strategy. You don't want to rely just on paid advertising alone. It's the fastest way to burn your money. Now, if you need help with any of these funnel marketing strategies, or you want help with any other part of your business in relation to sales and marketing, please reach out to me at bubblegummarketing.com if you're looking for a top-level agency to work with, or if you're looking for some advice and consulting, I do that as well. You can head over to camroberts.com.au, where I offer advisory consulting and also fractional CMO services. Until next time, this is Cam Roberts signing out.